The saloon was silent save for the crackling of the fire in the hearth and the low moan of the wind outside. The air was thick with the scent of pine smoke and desperation. Men and women huddled together at the rough-hewn tables, their faces gaunt and their eyes hollow. The disease had taken its toll. Coughs rattled through the room like gunshots, and the once vibrant town felt like a ghost of itself. At the bar, the man sat alone, his broad shoulders hunched over a glass of whiskey he hadn't touched. His face was weathered, his beard frosted with the cold he'd brought in from outside. He stared into the amber liquid, his mind racing. The mayor's words still echoed in his ears. "We're out of time. If that medicine don't get here soon, we're done for." The door creaked open, and a blast of icy wind swept through the room, extinguishing a few candles. The town's doctor, a thin man with spectacles perched on his nose, stepped inside, his coat dusted with snow. He moved to the bar and sat heavily beside the man. "It's getting worse," the doctor said, his voice low. "3 more this morning. The children, they're not strong enough to fight it." The man didn't respond at first. He traced a calloused finger along the rim of his glass, his jaw tightening. Finally, he spoke, his voice gravelly and firm. "How far's the nearest settlement with the medicine?" The doctor hesitated, then sighed. 2 days' ride, maybe 3, with the storms coming in. But it's a fool's errand. No one's making it through that pass alive, not in this weather. The man pushed the glass away and stood, his chair scraping against the wooden floor. Every eye in the room turned to him, hope flickering faintly in their weary faces. "I'll go," he said. A murmur rippled through the crowd. The mayor, a stout man with a bushy mustache, stepped forward. "You sure about this? You know what you're up against out there?" The man nodded, his gaze steady. "Ain't no other choice. I've ridden through worse." The doctor stood, his hands trembling. "You'll need supplies. I'll gather what I can. Bandages, food, anything to keep you going." The man shook his head. "No time. I'll take my horse, a rifle, and enough rations to last me a week. Anything more'll slow me down." The mayor reached out and clasped the man's hand, his grip firm. "You're a brave man. We won't forget this." The man pulled his hand away and turned toward the door. "Don't thank me yet. I ain't back till I'm back." He stepped out into the biting cold, the snow crunching beneath his boots. The wind howled like a wounded animal, and the sky was a leaden gray, heavy with the promise of more snow. His horse, a sturdy bay mare, stood tethered to the post, her breath steaming in the frigid air. She whinnied softly as he approached, her dark eyes reflecting the dim light from the saloon windows. He untied her and checked the saddle, his movements methodical. The rifle was secure, the rations packed tight. He swung himself up into the saddle, the leather creaking under his weight. For a moment, he paused, looking back at the town. The saloon door was still open, the faces of the townsfolk framed in the light. They watched him in silence, their hope and fear etched into their expressions. He turned away, nudging the horse forward. The mare snorted, her breath pluming in the cold, and they moved into the darkness, the snow already beginning to fall. Behind him, the saloon door closed with a soft thud, and the town was swallowed by the storm. Ahead lay the wilderness, vast and unforgiving, and the faint hope of salvation. But as the man rode on, the wind carried with it a sound, a low, guttural growl that didn't belong to any animal he knew. He glanced over his shoulder, his hand tightening on the reins. The town was gone, lost in the swirling snow. And somewhere out there something was watching, and somewhere out there something was watching.